in every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. for the America In Botswana radio show. Explore the strong U.S Botswana bilateral relationship, grant opportunities, and cultural exchanges. Join us for insights, opportunities, and vibrant connections. #Stars and Stripes BW.
And it's Gabzfm, power to engage your world. Now, Samantha, you do know that part and parcel of our bilateral relationship between the U.S. government and the BW government includes security cooperation, right? And that's an important component. The United States and Botswana have this week been co-hosting the 2024 African Chiefs of Defense Conference in Gaborone. It's been happening this week, bringing together top military leaders from across Africa to exchange knowledge, encourage partnerships, and foster collaboration towards addressing shared security and, of course, stability challenges. This year will mark the first time the U.S. has co-hosted the African Chiefs of Defense Conference within an African nation, and the first time the conference will take place within Africa. So Botswana is a first, right? I think the business one.
The U.S. Africa Business Summit happened here last year.
It happened here last year. So we're seeing a series of this My Strategy that you and I have spoken about. And of course, keynote speakers and panelists will include high-level civilian and military officials, including key leaders from the U.S. Embassy Gaborone and U.S. Africa Command, otherwise known as AFRICOM, since 2017, right?
Yes.
The African Chiefs of Defense Conference has served as a premier forum for senior military leaders across the continent to convene and, of course, collaborate in advancing shared goals for a safer and, of course, more prosperous Africa. And, of course, that is the conversation we will be having today. And if you need a little bit of information of an AFRICOM, the U.S. supports partners in Africa using a 3D approach that is diplomacy, development, and defense, whereas embassies use diplomacy and development to enable African governments. U.S. Africa Command helps those governments with defense. And of course, I had the honor on Sunday of speaking to General Michael Langley, who serves as the 6th commander of the U.S. Africa Command since the year that was 2022. And of course, his Africa Command is actually headquartered in Germany. U.S. Africa Command is one of 7 joint service geographic combat commands and is responsible for all U.S. military and activities to protect and advance U.S. national interests within Africa. You know, that means that if we go to war tomorrow, we're got backup. Yes. So this was my conversation with General Langley. Enjoy it. Well, it's Gabzfm, power to engage your world. And of course, welcome to the 3rd edition of the America In Botswana radio show, proudly driven by the U.S. Embassy and of course in partnership with Gabzfm. #Botswana in America In Botswana. And of course, today we get the absolute honor of speaking to General Michael Langley, who serves as U.S. Marine Corps as the 6th commander of U.S. Africa Command as of August 2022, and of course headquartered in Germany. The U.S. Africa Command is one of 7 joint service geographic combat commands and is responsible for all U.S. military operations and activities to protect and advance U.S. national interests in Africa. And of course, today I have the absolute honor of speaking to the General. General, welcome home.
Hey, it's great to be back here to Botswana.
Fantastic. Have you tried our steak yet?
I plan on having it tonight. So I'm saving my appetite. Skip lunch.
I love it. Look, you're back in Gaborone for the African Chiefs of Defense Conference. Let us know a little bit about that and its importance. I mean, it's a milestone part of the bilateral relationship between, the U.S. government and the BW government. Talk to me.
Yes. So, yes. When I was here last, I had discussions, with Botswana Defense Forces and General Sigoko, and he said, "Hey, it'd be a great idea." When I brought it up about having the first Chiefs of Defense conference on the continent. And it was a mutual agreement that we would go down this road to make this a reality.
Absolutely.
Because in that venue, that's when we all come together, chiefs of defense across the continent of Africa, to share ideas, to address challenges, but also to explore opportunities for security, stabilization, and prosperity across the African continent.
That is absolutely fantastic. And of course, this is a first for Botswana and of course the continent. And I think that is one of the most important elements of this particular conference. What is the motivation around, this decision of co-partnership between, the BW government, which is serving as the face of the continent, and of course the U.S. government?
First and foremost, as we have shared interests, shared security interests, shared interests of drivers of instability across the continent of Africa. And in coming from the United States, as far as guidance to me as U.S. Africa Command, our national security strategy kind of charges me and said, hey, learn from the African countries.
Absolutely.
The African countries are going to lead their way of addressing these challenges. So share ideas with them. So having this is symbolic, having this conference for the first time on the continent of Africa in Botswana is very, very riveting and compelling. And it shows the world that we're addressing regional challenges here on the continent that have global implications.
Fantastic. Well, if you've just joined us, welcome to the America in Botswana radio show, proudly driven by the U.S. Embassy. And of course, we're talking about the bilateral relationship between the U.S. government and the BW government. Look, let's talk about collaboration. That is, ingrained in American culture as collaboration. And of course, the partnership between AFRICOM and the Botswana Defense Force, and of course, other stakeholders to effectively address security challenges within the region. I think that's one thing that I've noted about, the military posture of these kind of relationships is that it also speaks to the region.
Yes, it does. And as we look at the Southern African Development Community and their ways of approaching whole of government, as far as development in Southern Africa, in addressing some of their challenges, through institutional and strong governance and collaboration across the whole of government. Yes. It's just not the security construct. To address these challenges or drivers of instability, it needs to be an all-in effort across the whole government. That's what I learned. I learned that when I was here before. And I share those ideas, and our other African partners share our ideas of the enduring solution for the drivers of instability.
Absolutely. Well, General, welcome back home. And of course, the next time you're in, I'd love to see an American football match between yourselves and the BDF. That would be super cool.
I'll be on the sideline cheering.
Yeah. And what team should I support in American football?
The Dallas Cowboys,
okay.
Of course.
All right. I'll incline to that. General, thank you so much. And of course, this is a milestone achievement and means a lot to the citizenry of Botswana in terms of our bilateral relationship and partnership. Shared prosperity comes from indeed a secure Botswana. Thank you so much, General.
Thank you, sir.
Tune in every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. for the America in Botswana radio show. Explore the strong U.S. Botswana bilateral relationship, grant opportunities, and cultural exchanges. Join us for insights, opportunities, and vibrant connections. #Stars and Stripes BW.
It's Gabzfm, powered to engage your world. And of course, you can also follow the America in Botswana radio show on Facebook. There is a platform available. And of course, that was the voice of none other than General Michael Langley, who's part and parcel of the U.S. Africa Command. Interesting and stuff. And of course, one thing that I think my takeaway is that, ensuring that Botswana is secure from a climate change point of view. And of course, who would think that climate change and, of course, military conversations go hand in hand? On the other side of this, I'm going to bump you some music, and we will be speaking to none other than His Excellency, the U.S. Ambassador the U.S. Ambassador, and of course, we'll be having that conversation shortly after this. It's Gabzfm, power to engage your world. She goes by the name Estelle, and this one is titled American Boy on the America In Botswana radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S Embassy in partnership with Gabzfm. On the other side of this, we'll be speaking to Ambassador Howard Van Franken, who was nominated by President Joseph R. Biden as the U.S. Ambassador to the Republic of Botswana. And let me tell you, when was that? On July the 20th, 2021. And of course, we're going to engage him around what is going on with this particular bilateral relationship between the U.S. Embassy and, of course, the American people and BW. Look out for that conversation.
Reload.gun. It's the midday fix. Reloaded.
Tune in every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. for the America In Botswana radio show. Explore the strong U.S. Botswana bilateral relationship, grant opportunities, and cultural exchanges. Join us for insights, opportunities, and vibrant connections. # Stars and Stripes BW.
Well, it's Gabzfm, power to engage your world. As we continue conversation, as rightfully said, I got to interview Ambassador Howard A. Van Franken, who was nominated by President Joseph R. Biden as the U.S. Ambassador to the Republic of Botswana on the 20th of July 2021, and of course confirmed on December the 23rd, 2022. Did you know that our sitting president must confirm him before it can be announced as that he is the ambassador? And prior to his nomination, he served as the executive director and deputy executive secretary, as well as executive secretariat at the Department of State in Washington, D.C. His Excellency, a career member of the Senior Foreign Service class of Minister Counselor, previously served as in senior positions, including as the Executive Director and Acting Principal Deputy Assistant Director, Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs. And of course, this is the conversation between myself and, of course, Ambassador Van Franken. Enjoy it. It's Gabzfm, power to engage your world. And of course, we're also speaking to our good friend, Ambassador Howard Van Franken. Thank you so much, Ambassador. It's always good to have you. Dumelara.
Dumelara. I'm delighted to be here with you, Swift, particularly here with our good friend, General Langley.
Absolutely. Look, we have to have a better understanding of your voice within what is going on, especially this milestone achievement. And I think it's important on behalf of Botswana to take our hat off to your leadership. What are some of the key areas of cooperation and partnership between the U.S. government and the BW government that you sincerely believe are crucial for advancing shared interests and, of course, promoting a mutual understanding?
Well, I appreciate that question. As General Langley said, our relationship is based on shared values and identifying and tackling shared goals. And we have a variety of ways that we're doing that here in Botswana. Probably a couple that are familiar to a lot of your listeners include our work with the Botswana government in the health sector.
Yes.
We've helped with PEPFAR. We've invested about $1.1 billion in the last 21 years in the health of Botswana's citizens, so that they can attack this very, very difficult HIV epidemic. And the fact that we're on the verge of epidemic control is really a testimony to the power of cooperation, the power of working together to solve very, very difficult problems. The General has touched on our security relationship.
Yeah.
I would also point out the United States and Botswana have a shared commitment to the rule of law in Southern Africa, in Africa, and throughout the world. The best manifestation of that, the best evidence of that, is the training that we do together at the Botswana Police Academy for countries, for law enforcement, judicial people from 38 different countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, Asia, Latin America, focused on policing, counter-trafficking, judicial reform, these kinds of very, very difficult but important issues. And we're delighted to be able to partner with Botswana in those kinds of things. Of course, we continue to work with Botswana as one of the world's oldest democracies. We recognize that Botswana's 57 years as the oldest multi-party democracy. It's really important for democracies to stand together, and we're delighted to work together with Botswana on those kinds of issues. Throw in things like economic growth and economic development and diversifying the economy. Even though we are the market for 53% of Botswana's diamond exports, we want to see Botswana grow. Why are we working so closely with Botswana besides having shared values? Because when we have prosperous, strong partners, it makes us better. It makes the world better. It makes Africa more stable and more prosperous. And we want to stand shoulder to shoulder with Botswana as we go forward on these to address these goals.
Absolutely. Look, let's touch on some of the, and you did touch on some of the programming and, of course, some of the economic growth opportunities, health, education, and other key sectors. Let's just, could you highlight some of the programs and initiatives that, the U.S. government and the U.S. citizenry have invested in Botswana?
By all means. So I'll give you one example. We do a lot of exchange and training kinds of programs. Just this last week, we sent off nearly 20 YALI participants. This is the Young Africa Leaders Initiatives, for them to spend several months in the United States learning things, dealing with other people from the continent, seeing the United States. I think that when people have a better understanding of the United States, what we do, how we do it, it enriches their lives, and it makes for a better world as well. In addition to that, we regularly send exchange participants to the United States for a variety of other sectors, and then we bring people to the United States. We have an exchange scholar at Bust right now working on a variety of things. We've got 5 English language teaching fellows who are embedded in schools in Botswana and working side by side with their Botswana counterparts to facilitate English language teaching. We have the Peace Corps, which is present throughout Botswana, and I think has a long and very illustrious history here in Botswana. Right now, we're primarily working in the health sector, but we're expanding that out into economic development and some other things. So I think there's a lot the United States is doing. I'm very proud of what we're working on. I haven't even mentioned the kinds of things that are happening with the BDF, where we have a very healthy and robust exchange and engagement program as well.
Look, let's touch a little bit on that, the capacity building for Botswana Defense Force. I think, whether we like it or not, we need a secure Botswana, and you cannot have a secure nation without, touching on military associated, collaboration or partnerships. Let's just touch on that, if you do not mind.
You bet. I think that it's essential that Botswana remain a very stable and strong partner. And in doing that, we work very closely with Botswana. We do a variety of kind of training programs with them. We do exchanges. I was up in Salibe Pikwe about 6-7 months ago.
Okay, nice.
And there were a number of U.S. soldiers who were out here doing training with Botswana. They weren't teaching, they were learning. And so it's that kind of exchange. It really helps to strengthen both of our capabilities. I would also point to the fact that later today we're going to see a very significant development, and that is that we will be delivering a C-130 cargo aircraft to the BDF for their use. This is something the United States is giving to Botswana because it enhances their capability, and it carries on a tradition that goes back decades of us working together in this way. So this Hercules aircraft is critical in addressing humanitarian needs and facilitating and capacitating the BDF to accomplish a lot of the goals of that.
Absolutely. Look, Ambassador, let's also touch on the importance of enhancing trade and investment between the United States and, of course, Botswana. I mean, whether we like it or not, economic ties for mutual benefit is part and parcel of our bilateral relationship. How can we promote these elements of our relationship and collaborative efforts?
That's a great question, Swift, and it's one that we spend a lot of time thinking about.
Yeah.
Now, I already mentioned that about 53% of diamonds exported from Botswana end up in the United States. We're going to remain a solid partner in diamonds. I would also point to other opportunities that we've got in things like clean energy. Botswana is at the early stages of developing a clean energy economy. The United States has been an important partner because through the rooftop solar program that was initiated by USAID, we've been able to capacitate local firms to do those installations and to generate solar electricity. It's important for Southern Africa. It's important for Botswana, and it'll help to address the $400 million in electricity imports that Botswana has now. We also look at other opportunities for encouraging private sector-led growth in agribusiness and technology. We've got a variety of things that we're doing. We've been supporting the agriculture sector. I can point to a few things that we've done there.
Absolutely.
Through grants to companies that are doing things that are improving the food supply and supply chains. And so the United States has been very, very active. We want to see Botswana achieve more under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is a measure that provides for duty-free export to the United States for certain countries and certain industries. Frankly, I think that Botswana hasn't taken full advantage of it. Yeah. We're looking for ways to make that change.
Definitely. I'm going to touch on that particular AGOA agreement. Let's talk about, whether we like it or not, we're people to people. There's a huge cultural nuances between the American people and the Botswana people. I mean, you and I have argued back and forth about, Botswana beef and American beef. And, that is an important component. And we've seen, the U.S. Embassy drive cultural exchanges. I think one thing that I've had the privilege of traveling to the U.S. and noting, one thing that was my takeaway was the spirit of volunteerism that I find that is part and parcel of American culture. Let's touch on how does the U.S. Embassy in Botswana engage with local communities, civil society organization, and of course government officials to strengthen those diplomatic relationships and of course promote a people-to-people exchange.
Great question, Swift. I appreciate it. I already mentioned what we're doing with the Peace Corps throughout the country, and I've had the opportunity to visit a number of Peace Corps volunteers, met with the people that they're working with, and seeing the kinds of activities that they're doing, not only in the office, but then as volunteers outside of
Absolutely.
it. And that kind of retail diplomacy really does kind of build the kinds of relationships and the kind of good neighborliness that we want to see between Botswana and people from the United States. We're also doing things to expand economic opportunities for people from Botswana, primarily to export to the United States. Mm-hmm. Those kinds of private sector-led initiatives are absolutely essential to get Botswana to where it's seeking to go, which is to be a high-income country by 2036. We think that that's a fantastic aspirational goal, and we want to work with the people and the government to help to achieve it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's Gabzfm, power to engage your world. Look, Ambassador, last question is AGOA. AGOA is a brilliant initiative, and of course, why do you think AGOA isn't necessarily effectively working for Botswana as initially envisioned? And obviously from your point of view and your vantage point in terms of recommendations, what steps can be taken to maximize the benefits of the program for Botswana's economic development and growth? I mean, it's a huge opportunity that Botswana and the citizenry need to take advantage of.
I couldn't agree with you more, Swift. I think that there are a couple of factors that play into it. Mm-hmm. First, the export from Botswana. Frankly, Botswana doesn't export very much things right now except diamonds.
Yes.
And finished diamonds under AGOA have been exported. That's diamonds that are beneficiated right here, made into jewelry, and then exported. That started last year, and we're looking to see that expand as well. There's a Salibipique citrus project that we're working to get approval for export of that into the U.S. market, which is very, very lucrative. Yeah. I think for other things, the reality is that the U.S. market is incredibly dynamic and it's incredibly competitive. There are a lot of other players there, and you really have to bring your A game to succeed in the United States. I think Botswana's got all the tools. It's just a matter of pulling it together and making it work. I'm very confident that we can do this.
Absolutely. Well, Ambassador, thank you so much. And of course, those are opportunities available for you, me, and the citizenry of Botswana. It's important that we look to the U.S. Embassy's Facebook pages and social media platforms in order to engage further. Ambassador, have a fantastic time. I know it's not the last time I see you. I know we'll definitely have you back on the show. Thank you so much.
I look forward to it, Swift. We've got a very ambitious schedule. We're very, very busy, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Because complaining doesn't pay the bills. Somebody smart said that to me.
Cheers.
And I appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you, gentlemen.
Tune in every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. for the America in Botswana radio show. Explore the strong U.S Botswana bilateral relationship, grant opportunities, and cultural exchanges. Join us for insights, opportunities, and vibrant connections. #Stars and Stripes BW.
It's Gabzfm, Power to Engage Your World, and welcome back to the America in Botswana radio show. Thank you so much for joining us if you've just joined in, still on the midday fix. And of course, it would be an injustice of us to continue this conversation without inviting in somebody who is from the Gabzfm News Department, who was there at the official opening for the 2024 Africa Chief of Defense Conference. And Geba, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Swift.
So you were able to attend the official opening of the African Chiefs of Defense Conference 2024, and you were there. And I just want to find out from you, okay, which countries were represented there?
Okay, thank you, Sam. Before maybe I can touch on that, we have to know that this was a collaboration towards addressing shared security and stability changes across the African countries, especially the SADC region. And this year marked the first time this conference comes into Africa. And Botswana is the first African country to host this conference. Like you said, we had about 30 heads of defense, senior defense that came to this conference that ended today. And, it brought together top militaries and leaders across the African country. One thing that, touched me, when I say, we saw, the peace and the stability of people who we believe that, are protecting us. And they were together, putting heads together, discussing the matters that affect the security of the African countries, supported by the U.S. military.
I know I also alluded to the fact, not even alluded, stated that the President of Botswana, His Excellency Re Mokgweetsi Masisi, did the official opening. What did he say in his official statement opening what stood out to you from what he shared?
He said a lot of stuff, and one thing that touched or caught our eye, it was him mentioning that Botswana will be donating 19 hectares of land to the SADC, to build a SADC depot for to enhance regional peace efforts. So this was an announcement that he made, and he pledged that Botswana will donate 19 hectares of land for construction of the Southern African Development Community SADC depot. And he made this announcement, emphasizing that the strategic importance of the depot is it will play a crucial role in a regional peacemaking efforts. And he gave an example where the SADC countries have stood against each other with other in terms of security, like we see Botswana, Barona, Masola, Rona, Mozambique, and others to assist. To assist. So this depot will be one of the bases where Southern African countries are coming to train, for security. SADC countries. He also said, the recent contribution of Botswana and other SADC countries in countries like Mozambique, it led to them, donating this land to build a depot.
Wow.
Yes.
Absolutely interesting. So he did touch on the regional impact of that Botswana pledging.
Another thing, the African countries or the defense, heads of defense, they don't condone is violence and, other things that we see in other countries. We saw other countries, they were unprecedented in this conference. African countries like Sudan, we know what's happening in Sudan. The other countries, so they were not part of this conference to show we don't condone those kind of controversies in countries. So these are the things that the president touched on. They should learn from the conference. These are the issues that we're going to discuss. We're going forth how we're going to assist and how we're going to intervene in these countries' issues.
Any final thoughts from you as a reflection for us to be able to take away?
Today is the last day, and we believe for even our defense here have learned something, and we believe for this conference maybe we'll come back since we've donated land, and we're all about donating. And one thing is that I have to touch on again. I saw other government officials who appreciated or who graced the event. We saw Minister of Foreign Affairs Rela Mogankwape, obviously Minister of Defense Rekagiso Musi, Minister of Finance. Obviously, go bua ka depo go bua ka finance me Peggy as well as the Major General Mosolo Botswana.
Well, it's Gabzfm Power to Engage. Well, shout out to Giba. And of course, thank you so much for being part and parcel of the America in Botswana radio show. Interesting enough, Samantha, we also have or are host to what is called ILEA, the International Law Enforcement Academy.
That has
in
to do with security,
Yeah, we train over a number of nations within the Republic of Botswana, which is located 45 kilometers south towards the college. In that area, Alea grounds and facilitates adjacent to Botswana Police College complex. ILEA is a U.S. funded program with in-kind contributions via the government of Botswana partnership. So security partnerships are where it's at, and of course it is of vital importance. What is your takeaway?
My takeaway, I find it quite interesting. Geba actually touched on it. I had no idea that the pledge of land had been placed there. And it also makes sense because when our neighboring countries are secure, SWIFT, we also benefit from, that stability. So it makes sense to be able to work together. And
of course,
vice versa.
And the U.S. government is also delivering a Lockheed C-130 jet. Yeah, it's actually a cargo jet that is used, for military operations that allows you to obviously carry a number of things. I do know that is part and parcel of the agreement between the U.S. government and the BW government. Well, that's how we wrap up the America in Botswana radio show. And of course, it is our debut. We'll be talking things like democracy. It's a democratic year for a number of different countries, including the United States, including the Republic of Botswana. And of course, the backdrop of that is that we're going to be talking about the constitutional review. How important is the Constitution, our Constitution versus the American Constitution, which is over 200 years old, and what we can learn from understanding this piece of legislature and the importance of understanding things like the Constitution. We're also going to be talking about young people in politics, climate change, and funding opportunities. So we have a good 9 months of the America in Botswana radio show, proudly driven by the U.S. Embassy and, of course, in partnership with Gabzfm. Good afternoon.
Tune in every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. for the America in Botswana radio show. Explore the strong U.S. Botswana bilateral relationship, grant opportunities, and cultural exchanges. Join us for insights, opportunities, and vibrant connections. #Stars and Stripes BW.